Alright guys, with us is Asus's ExpertBook Ultra. Finally, we have a Panther Lake laptop that we actually really like. In fact, this might be the best laptop we've tested in the last 6 months. Inside it, you've got one of Intel's fantastic Panther Lake X chips. That's the one with a very powerful integrated GPU. And it's actually fed full power. You've got a stunning matte touchscreen tandem OLED display, a haptic trackpad, a comfortable keyboard, and it's all packed into a very light and portable chassis with a ton of ports. Its only real downside is that its battery life just isn't great for what it is. Now, this laptop is from Asus's business line, which brings with it a ton of benefits like a longer warranty. But it should be available to purchase retail. We believe it's going to come in around $2,000, but hopefully we'll see some sales throughout the year. When it is available to purchase, you'll find a link to it down below and on our website bestlaptop.deals. Over there, we track prices right across retailers so you know when a laptop's price is actually a good deal. Let's start with the look and feel of the ExpertBook Ultra itself. It's a very vanilla looking laptop. I mean, just look at it. It's not one you just see on a desk and think, wow, that looks cool. But if you know the fable of the race between the hare and the tortoise, the ExpertBook is kind of a tortoise. It isn't flashy, but it wins the race in the end. It's just incredibly lightweight for what it is, making it a joy to carry around. It's a little more compact than a MacBook Pro 14, but looks can be a bit deceiving. You see, the ExpertBook has these tapered edges. It's thicker in the center. Now, what is unusual about this laptop is the coating used all around it. It has a little bit of a texture to it, kind of like touching a rough paint. It's unlike anything else we've ever tried. We initially thought it felt a bit weird, but after a couple of minutes, it actually felt really comfortable to use, and it has some clear benefits. Sweat from your palms just doesn't accumulate on the palm rests, and the coating is completely resistant to fingerprints. Now, one thing I do want to call out is our early stage manufacturing sample. It doesn't sit flat on the desk, and its hinge is super floppy. Asus has assured us that both these issues are resolved in their actual production units. They even sent us a video showing the hinge working properly on a production one. If for any reason yours has these issues, return it or exchange it and post a comment down below so we can keep track of it. Right now though, we don't think this is a reason to just not buy this laptop, but I believe in transparency here and we have to tell you what we're experiencing. Alright, ports. They are outstanding on this laptop. Seriously, the ExpertBook Ultra has both a USB-A and charging-capable USB-C port on either side. The USB-C ports are Thunderbolt 4 and the USB-A is 3.210 gigabit. The Ultra also has an HDMI 2.1 port and a headphone mic combo jack. Guys, for such a small laptop, these ports are excellent. But I do have one more very cool thing for you. This is a business laptop. That means it has reinforced ports to withstand high usage. Its hinge is tested to a higher standard, and it is verified to survive drops from a greater distance. Finally, and this is just icing on the cake here, it comes with up to a 5-year warranty. That's in some countries. Here in the USA, by default, a 3-year one. Guys, that's really good. Anyway, back on the laptop itself. It's easy to open with one hand. The trackpad is indented, which is the thing that makes it easy for your finger to just grab the lid. When you do open it, you'll be greeted by a gorgeous 14-inch 2880 by 1800 tandem OLED display. It refreshes at up to 120 Hz and supports touch. That 2.8K resolution, it really feels like the perfect fit for a screen this size. It's plenty crisp for small text, which means you can actually zoom out a bit and comfortably see more content than you can see on other 14-inch laptops with, say, lower resolution and less bright panels. In fact, on brightness, it gets very bright at around 700 nits for SDR content, and it has a matte anti-reflective coating. This makes it visible in brighter environments like outdoors, as there are no pesky reflections. Unfortunately, there is a screen door effect, meaning if you are looking at white-coloured content, it just doesn't look solidly white. There are coloured pixels peeping through. This is the case, by the way, on every laptop display with a matte coating, including Apple's nanotexture. It's just a side effect you have to live with. Lastly, as with most OLED panels, the color accuracy here is just awesome. True, inky blacks content really looks rich and vibrant. Overall, guys, this is a great display. Now let's talk about the keyboard, because as a business laptop, it's competing with ThinkPads. So we're going to hold it to a pretty high standard here. The good news is it actually lives up to our expectations. Not quite ThinkPad levels, but very close. I was able to type really fast and accurate on this keyboard, which is unfortunately rare on a modern laptop, which are trying to do these cutesy things like give it a low travel keyboard and change the key layout. Well, not here. Typing felt very comfortable with the 1.5mm of key travel, and the key press felt satisfyingly clicky. If you're wondering if that makes it sound loud to type on, it doesn't. The sound is kind of muted, certainly not silent, but in between loud and silent. The only real negatives of the keyboard are the smushed up and down arrow keys. Also, often having a white backlight on a light-coloured keyboard is a negative. In a well-lit room, you see, if you have the backlight on, it's hard to read which key is which. They kind of blend in with the keycaps. But Asus have a trick up their sleeve. They have this adaptive backlight setting. If you turn it on, the keyboard turns on the backlight in a darker room, and quickly turns it off when you're in a well-lit space, thereby avoiding the issue. Bravo, Asus! Onto the large haptic trackpad. It is wonderful. There is a smooth coating to the glass that just feels natural when tracking, and the click, it feels very responsive. It's also edgeless, kind of like an infinity pool. It just extends all the way to the front of the laptop, and that gives you even more space to work with. Now, given this trackpad size, I was really worried about palm rejection, but I had none of it here. Guys, fantastic trackpad, again, full marks. Alright, now we're going to get into performance with our benchmark results. In Geekbench, which tests a variety of common performance tasks, the ExpertBook Ultra performs really well, in line with high-performance laptops, even beating the Ryzen 9 CPU in the Pro at PX13. That being said, in this benchmark, it isn't the strongest performer we've seen with a 16 CPU core Panther Lake H chip. It trails behind Dell's XPS 14 and the ZenBook Duo. That being said, it's a huge step up from the performance of previous thinner light laptops with Lunar Lake. Moving over to Cinebench, which tests the max power of a CPU. The order changes quite a bit here. The MacBook with M5 continues to utterly dominate in single-threaded performance, but it's now much closer to the X7 chip in the ExpertBook Ultra, that's in terms of multi-threaded performance. The X9 in the Duo pulls even further ahead, likely due to its high clock speed boost. When it comes to the X7 chips, the ExpertBook now thrashes the XPS 14. You see, Geekbench, it doesn't push CPUs to their max, but Cinebench does. It's here you really see the issue with Dell only feeding that XPS 14 a max of 25 watts sustained. Asus actually allows the ExpertBook to feed its chip the full 45 watts, so you can really see the difference that makes. Also, the Ryzen 9 chip performs much better in Cinebench than it did in Geekbench. AMD's chips, they always tend to shine in heavier workloads. Now, during this time, you can see that the ExpertBook Ultra is able to consistently hit its 45 watt sustained power limit, and in short tasks it can actually burst even higher, up to 65 watts. Despite this, it is able to keep its CPU at a somewhat reasonable temperature, around 84 degrees Celsius. This indicates a pretty good cooling solution, especially given how small this laptop is. What's likely more important to you though is whether it keeps its keyboard deck and underside cool. In light use, the laptop remained very cool and comfortable to the touch, and its fan noise was close to silent. Sure, if you hold the laptop up to your ear, you can definitely hear the fans going, but realistically guys, unless you use your laptop like that, it is silent. The only time it felt warm was when I was installing a lot of programs when I was setting up the laptop. If you do plan to use this laptop for intensive tasks though, we ran Cinebench on a loop on its highest performance mode for 10 minutes straight, i.e. a torture test. Here's what we observed. The ExpertBook Ultra gets warm on the keyboard deck, but I wouldn't say hot. You may be impressed at how well the XPS 14 does here with regards to temperatures you feel, but remember its performance is worse. Continuing on with the ExpertBook, its fans get a bit loud when being pushed like this, but nowhere near as loud as laptops with dedicated GPUs. Now, the ExpertBook Ultra actually has 3 different performance modes. All the tests I've been showing you thus far were on the highest performance mode, but of course we tested all 3. In the default balance mode, it only loses around 20% of its performance for nearly silent fan noise. This is fantastic and I feel worth the trade-off. To achieve this, you can see power draw is dropped down to 25 watts in that mode. Now, I want to compare once again to the Dell XPS 14. I've given that laptop a lot of flack for only drawing 25 watts, but here I'm patting the ExpertBook on the back for essentially doing the same thing. The difference is this. Asus gives you the choice to run at the full 45 watts or 25. Dell does not. I think Asus's approach is correct. You should be able to unlock the full performance of the CPU you're paying for. Alright, let's talk GPU performance. Light games and even some modern AAA titles are definitely playable on this integrated GPU, if you lower your settings. Guys, we did a really big video testing games on Panther Lake chips where we show you the specific frame rates that you can expect on a variety of different games and the settings that we recommend. I think it's a pretty good video. I'll link it down below. Definitely go watch it after this one. Anyway, when it comes to the ExpertBook Ultra, specifically in the TimeSpy benchmark, it lands near the top for what it is, a small, thin and light laptop. It delivers a little over 80% of the performance of the dedicated RTX 4060 in the 13-inch ProArt. Obviously a fantastic result for an integrated GPU. Now, even though the B390 is great, its performance is still pretty basic. We definitely don't recommend gaming at the laptop's native 2.8K resolution, it's just simply too many pixels to drive. So, for Cyberpunk, we ran it with FrameGen on, upscaling set to balance mode at a resolution of 1920 by 1200. It's definitely playable at high settings, but you can see how its 1% lows is still a bit low. Unfortunately, the 1% lows, they don't go up when you turn on XeSS frame generation. They stay around 40, while the average FPS that does shoot up from 72 to 118. Given the downsides of frame generation, especially on a less powerful GPU like increased latency, it's probably better just to leave it off. Anyway, in gameplay, you can really see the RTX 4060 and the ProArt just pull ahead, more so than what you saw in TimeSpy. Also, in Cyberpunk, you can again see the ExpertBook feeding its X7 chip the full 45 watts, making it perform way better than the Dell XPS 14 with the same chip. In Forza, which is another older AAA title, it's definitely very playable at 1920 resolution at high settings without upscaling or frame generation. In Marvel Rivals, a more modern and demanding title, it just isn't playable. Its average FPS is below 50. You'd have to lower the settings even further, which would make the game just look pretty bad. Now, during gaming, the ExpertBook gets a bit warm on the keyboard deck. That's in its highest performance mode. It's at the upper end of similar laptops, but that might be because its fan noise is reasonable, under 50 decibels. Gaming laptops can get really loud as 60 decibels. Once again, we did test all three performance modes, but this time in gaming. Here, the balance mode still seems to win out. Cooler keyboard deck temperatures, less fan noise for a small drop in average FPS and 1% lows. Onto creative tasks. These Panther-like laptops with an X chip are good enough for some light video editing. Sierra, she actually uses one to review our videos with. That being said, Tony, who's one of our full-time video editors, he doesn't want to touch one with a 10-foot barge pole. Their performance just pales in comparison to his high-end gaming laptop, the Legion 9i. To reinforce this, here you can see how much the ProArt with its RTX 4060 beats this laptop in Puget's Premiere Pro benchmark. Now in Photoshop though, this laptop is certainly fine. In fact, as you can see, the ExpertBook Ultra performs almost as good as that ProArt with its 4060. In Blender though, for 3D rendering, it's a similar situation to video editing. A laptop with an older mid-range dedicated GPU just smashes it. Guys, this is clearly not the laptop to get for intensive 3D rendering. Alright, saving the worst till last. Battery performance and battery life. You see, most Panther Lake laptops that we've tested, they do amazingly well here. Unfortunately, the ExpertBook, it kind of falls short. It lowers its performance a little when unplugged, but more importantly, it just doesn't last nearly as long as our XPS 14, which has the same CPU, similar size battery, and similar 2.8K tandem OLED display. The ExpertBook Ultra lasts 30% less than that laptop. It just doesn't make sense. Hopefully this is something that Asus can address with a firmware or similar update. By the way, this was using our new battery life test, which is more intensive than our older one. We heard you guys loud and clear that most reviewers' battery life tests are just way off, showing far longer battery life than what you actually get in the real world. So we listened and we upped the difficulty of our test, upping the brightness to 300 nits and also testing office tasks on repeat, not video playback. Finally, rounding out the review, speakers are pretty good. They get very loud, they aren't the clearest we've heard, but they're not too bad. Take a listen. If you're wondering what the webcam looks and sounds like, here I am using the webcam of the Asus ExpertBook Ultra. It's a 1080 webcam, it does have a privacy shutter, a physical one that is, and it supports Windows Hello facial recognition. It's not the strongest part of the laptop, even using our studio lights. And now here I am using dimmer house lights. As you can see, the quality really drops. Alright, upgradability. Like with most business laptops, it's very easy to pop the back off this one. Once you do, you'll find replaceable storage and battery. Memory and Wi-Fi are soldered. For Linux users, we did try booting up Fedora 43, but unfortunately this laptop took a long time to boot and literally froze as soon as the desktop loaded. Obviously, a full install or changing distros might solve this, but guys, that is very intensive to do. On that note, I want to say this for Linux folks. That kind of more thorough testing is really time consuming, but we are open to doing it. We do hear you. To help make this kind of testing viable, I've added a new membership tier to support our Linux testing. You can find it at YouTube or Patreon, linked down below. All the money we raise there, from this tier that is, will be used to enhance our Linux testing. Alright, that's all we got for you. This is one of the best laptops of 2026. It is just really usable with only one downside. Its battery life is shorter than some competitors. It's not bad, but not sky high like we'd hoped for. I think that is a small price to pay for its amazing screen, its great keyboard and trackpad, its excellent performance, its phenomenal ports and great portability. You may be concerned by its price though. As I said, we are expecting it to come in at around $2,000, but you need to consider things like its extended warranty. Apparently here in the USA, it will come with a 3-year warranty by default. Check down below the video. The moment this laptop is on sale, you'll find a link there. It will also be up on our website, bestlaptop.deals. Over there, we show you all the laptops we recommend for each type of user. If you appreciate the thorough reviews we do here, please give us a like and get subscribed. Guys, it's a free and easy way to show your support. That's all I got for you. Till next time, go do something awesome with your day, and I will catch you later.